Hello everybody, Jason Napalm here, aka Big Chungus, and today I'm going to be doing a video on genetics, muscle genetics, body genetics, things that we don't get told by the bodybuilding community and by the fitness community at large, or not many people go into it. I'm sure there are videos, and I do come across the odd video here and there that speak about how we're determined, how our physique is determined by our genetics, bone structure, muscle type, and muscle insertion. Not so much about muscle insertion. When I say muscle insertion, that's where the muscles are inserted and connected to the bone. Okay, skeletal muscle. For example, an example of muscle insertion is, especially with the calf muscles. Okay. If I pull my leg up here, you can see that my calves are here, okay? Very high calves. There's my ankle, okay? That's the muscle insertion. That's a lot of ankle, okay? Nothing you can do about that, okay? If your calves are high, it's going to be high. If they're low, you know, you get some people where their calves are actually on their ankle and it looks like they've got no ankles, which makes the lower leg look quite powerful and strong, but it doesn't bring an aesthetically pleasing look that we would like to have. So again, muscle insertions with the arms, for example, if I bring that in there, see where the bicep goes, there's that gap there. Okay, that's where it's insert. Some people with their arm muscles, their bicep will go right up there. So that'd be a long-headed bicep, long-headed arm. Okay, bicep, even arm. Short-headed biceps, again, they may come up to even shorter than what mine is. So that's your muscle insertion. The same thing with the chest. Okay, some people's chest muscles are connected really close in there. There's like no gap. Where other people, where the muscle is connected to the bone, mine, for example, comes here and out. Can you see the way I'm doing that movement? It's getting out wider. Okay, so my chest muscles are actually connected to the bone there, leaving a pretty big triangle. All right. Like I said, some people, their muscle are connected very closely. So when you're looking at the muscle insertion, that's going to determine whether you're going to have long-headed muscles or short-headed muscles. Nothing you can do about that, okay? I know that people have said if you do certain exercises, you can lengthen the muscle, but there's no significant evidence of that. Using Arnold Schwarzenegger for an example, he had high calves. Okay, he had high calves, and when he was first doing bodybuilding, when he had photos taken of him, he used to stand in a river, okay, in a river, so that the water came up to his calves, so he couldn't see his ankles. His calf muscles were lagging. There wasn't much he could do about that other than exercise, train, and so forth. And he eventually got his calves bigger, his legs a bit bigger. But when you look at the weightlifters of today and the bodybuilders of today, their legs are enormous. Okay, Tom Platz, who was a Mr. Olympia contender back in the day, he had probably the biggest legs at that time, but he was not the norm. Nowadays, if you compare bodybuilders like Ronnie Coleman compared to Arnold Schwarzenegger looks like he's got skinny legs, looks like he's got skinny calves. No, he definitely hasn't, but in comparison. Now, as we know, Anabolic Steroids has got a lot to do with it. PEDs, which is performance enhancing drugs, simple injections, which are oil-based injections which inject into specific muscles to make them swell up, so it carries a load of liquid. And some people will use sinful injections to use on lagging muscle parts. The most common place for injections of sinful is in the shoulders, where you see people's shoulders just go out like boulders. In the triceps, you'll see people triceps that just absolutely stick really far out. And then you got a few freaks on YouTube where you'll see where they've took the simple injections in their arms and nowhere else, and they just look like monstrosities. Okay, so don't go for the simple injections, very dangerous. Just avoid it at all costs. Okay, anabolic steroids, just stay natural. Okay, just stay natural. If a person is a Olympic bodybuilder or something, Mr. Olympia, they do use them drugs, and even in some of the natural competitions. But keep in mind, a lot of these people are under doctor's supervision, but nevertheless I would not promote or encourage anabolic steroids. For me, definitely not. Never touched anabolic steroids. All I've took is protein powder and creatine, which is probably noticeable in my physique. So the muscle insertion, again with the lats, okay? So if I stand up, see where my lats are connected there? It's like midway down my body, okay? Midway down the body. Some people have lats right here, okay? Right down to their waist. And you'll see some of the old school bodybuilders especially, Franco Colombo, his lats just went straight to his waist. Can you make your lats go any lower? No, that's where the muscle is connected to the bone. Okay, you can't do it. You should snip it off and tie it down the bottom or something, which is probably not possible. So let's get the first thing established. Okay, you're never going to look like your hero. Okay, you're never probably going to look like the person that you've got a picture up on your wall. Because what you've got to realise first of all is that their muscle insertion is different from yours. You can find someone with very similar muscle insertion and base your progress on that. So for me, I'll be looking for a person with sort of mid-range bicep connection, forearms, as you can see, the insertion's around about here. Okay, that leaves quite a lot of wrist. Some people, their insertion is right there, and then it makes the forearm look absolutely huge, okay, because they've got barely any wrist. For ectomorphs like myself, again, the insertion is there. You see there's a lot of wrist, okay. My arms are never going to look really sort of thick and powerful, okay, and the same thing with my legs because of where the muscles are inserted. So it's a good idea to find someone with a familiar physique to you in muscle insertion. You've got the ectomorph body type, which is long and wiry, or carries very low fat body fat, long arms, long legs, long torso. But you could be about 4'10" and be an ectomorph, okay? Which sounds a bit odd, but you can be because it's a matter of how small the bone structure is as well. You've got an endomorph, a person who carries fat and is very bulky, naturally bulky. Their bone structure is very heavy, and they carry that typically throughout the body. Stereotypical endomorph is very heavy boned up the top, bottom, and all the way through. Okay, and they will carry body fat without any, just easily. Okay, they will find it hard to lose weight, body fat. Mesomorph is a person who has quite short sort of joints, short sort of muscles, I mean bone structure, but is very powerful and carries muscle naturally. They don't have to do a lot to get muscle size and strength. It just seems to be they can hit the gym, bang, like that, and they've got a great physique within like 2 to 3 years. For ectomorphs and endomorphs, it takes a bit longer and a whole lot more effort. So mesomorph are people, they are what we would class as the stocky, like sort of thick, broad-shouldered, thick built people, but the muscular, not fat. Now if it was as simple as ectomorph, you're either ectomorph, mesomorph or endomorph, okay. But the problem is that many people are a mixture of ecto, endo and meso, okay. Case in point, some people, if you was to do an x-ray of a person, you may find that the person's rib cage is like really wide, it's really huge, he's like a block, okay, he's like SpongeBob, and he's got like skinny arms, skinny legs, okay. Now, how do you determine what body type are they? Well, they're a cross between an ecto and endo, okay. So sometimes people are not strictly ectomorph or endomorph or mesomorph, they're a mixture. Now that creates a problem, because with symmetry we have to realise that that person who's got a SpongeBob body, okay, like block, they're not going to have that really small waist, they're not going to have that really small sort of mid-section, okay, they're just going to be a lump. So they have to work, and then they might have ectomorphic arms, okay. Their arms might be long and spaghetti-like, and the legs like SpongeBob's legs. And so what they would have to do is work really hard on bringing their legs and their arms up to equal size. And without taking any performance-enhancing drugs, not likely to happen, probably impossible to happen, because they're limited by their genetics, their bone structure and their muscle insertions, okay? So this might sound like a bit of a negative video, but to be honest, it's a being real video. A lot of us are, as weightlifters, bodybuilders, people into fitness, do tend to be a bit body dysmorphic. We look at other people and we're like, oh, I wish I had their legs, or oh, I wish I had their arms, or I wish my waist was as small as that person. And you just drive yourself nuts. We use these exercise routines that are meant to work for everybody, okay, one size fits all. We do certain diets to try and bring that down, but the fact of the matter is it's never going to happen. So what we have to do, just to repeat myself again, is find someone with a similar body type to you. So I'm carrying quite a bit of fat at the moment, probably about 20%. But my waist naturally is pretty small, okay? So to get my waist down, I would have to do a bit of dieting, obviously. But again, it's all to do with finding that body type that is similar to yours, okay? We need to stop looking at Chris Hemsworth unless we're that body type, and Ronnie Coleman, and looking at, you know, pop stars and fitness models and thinking this is what I want to look like, and you never will. So your bone structure, okay, that's got a big part to play. You could be big bone, medium boned and small boned. Small boned is anything below 7 inches wrist, medium is between 7 and 8, and 8 inches and above is large bone structure, okay? And again, the strange thing is that a person can be big boned in one area, say the legs, and then small boned on the arms, and then they could be small boned on the body, and that's where we get, for women anyway, like a pear shape, okay, because it sort of goes ooh, like almost a bit like a triangle. It sort of collects at the bottom. So what are you going to do about that? You have to accept that your legs are going to be the biggest part of your body, no matter what you do. Unless you try and bring the arms up to equal size. But if you've got, quote, big legs, then you're going to have to need big arms and big body to make the whole thing up, and then you're going to be thinking, great, in order to get that perfect symmetry, as it were, I'm going to have to probably put on about 3 or 4 stone on my arms and my body to catch up with my legs. Are you with me? So bone structure can vary in a person. Me, I've got very small bones through my wrists, through my knees, my ankles. I've got narrow shoulders. My bones stop about there. My shoulders don't look so narrow because I've got muscle on them, okay? But without the muscle, I'm like that. So bone structure has got a lot to do with it. So to understand, we need to look at ourselves and think, I've got big arm muscle, big arm bones, small leg bones. So what can I do? You can squat 1,000 pounds, but your legs will never catch up with your bigger bone structure if it's up the top. Okay. Now, people may say, well, what about Ronnie Coleman and all these bodybuilders, this, that, and the other? Well, they're on drugs, okay? I'm talking about natural bodybuilding, natural physique development, natural fitness. I'm not talking about all that stuff that other people do to get freakishly insane physiques. Some people will have implants, calf implants, bicep implants, chest implants, abdominal implants, okay? There is ways around of cheating nature, the way our bodies are intended, but they're not natural. So let's stick with the natural. So we got muscle insertion, been through that. We got bone structure. As I said, could be a variety of different bone structure. Genetics, look through your family. Who was your family? Has your family got a history of being tall, short, skinny, big built, and so forth? That's going to come into play as well. Then you've got muscle type. Okay, now this is, with muscle type, this is a major factor in your physique and in your body, developing the body that you would like within reason. Muscle types, you've got red type and white type. Red is known as slow twitch, which is fatigue resistance. If you carry a lot of red muscle, particularly if you get a roast chicken, my best illustration, you get your roast chicken out the supermarket, okay? If you look at the body, it's predominantly white, mostly white. There may be a little bit of pink in there, but mostly white. Then you look at the legs, and they're mostly pink, dark meat, okay? Now that resembles the two different types of muscle. The white, which is called fast twitch, and that represents the power muscle, short bursts of power, and capable of size, great size. The fatigue resistant muscles, the red type muscle group, or slow twitch, are endurance based and fatigue resistant. You will typically find these muscles in the forearms and the calves, okay? Reason being, the calves and forearms are used the most, and that's why a lot of people struggle with getting calves bigger if they're not genetically already big, and get their forearms bigger unless they're genetically predisposed that way. But for the average person, including myself, your forearms, you can train them and train your calves like till kingdom come, and very little happens, not a great deal happens, because they're so resistant to getting worn out. Whereas the bigger, the chest muscles, the shoulder muscles, and the back and the quadriceps, they are more for the power. Now the only way you can find out what muscle types you got in your body, red and white, is by having a biopsy, and that would only come to pass when you're dead, okay? The only way you're going to find out if your body, what percentage your body, entire body, is of red and white muscle, is by the biopsy when you're dead. And that's what I read an article on that. So really, we have to take an educated guess as to, well, how can I tell if I've got more white muscle, power, size related, or more red muscle, endurance related, but smaller? Well, I think, like, use an example of runners. Runners have more red muscle in their bodies, because you can tell that they're very slim, very lean, and you know, pretty skinny, some of them. But they can run for ages. They can just run. But there's no power. There's no build, size, and, you know, sort of outstanding physique there. Whereas you get a sprinter who looks like they're just in the middle. They've got enough white muscle, enough pink muscle, red muscle to give them the endurance to get through their sprint, and also the power to push them through. And then you've got people that are, you know, have loads of white muscle and very little red, and they're just like probably along the lines of you know, world's strongest man. They'd be along them lines. So we need to look at ourselves. I look at my legs. My legs are not big. they're muscular. You can see the muscle definition. They're rock hard, but they have sprinters' legs. I'm not sprinters. I've got runners' legs. Okay, cross between runner and sprinter, probably more runner. Okay, so that is the type of muscle group I've got. That's the type of red type muscle I've got, predominantly working throughout my legs and probably working throughout my arms, and more endurance based. Okay, so now we've got to sort of think the physique that I want might not be within my genetic capabilities. So instead of me sitting here thinking I want to look like Jay Cutler or Lee Haney, Arnold Schwarzenegger, I've got to start thinking, let's look at some reasonably good sized runners. Okay, let's look at between looking like a runner and a sprinter. That's probably where I can sort of get in between that range. So I would start looking at some of the runners, looking at their physique and looking at the cross between a runner and a sprinter, or even a boxer. Okay, boxers are good examples to look at. You've got all the different weight classes. You can sort of look at a boxer and think, most of them haven't really got very big legs, boxers, because they've got a lot of endurance in the legs. They need to be on their feet, so fatigue resistant, which would be the red muscle type. So boxers, I think they're a pretty good physique to base your expectations on. Okay, as men. For women also, women boxers, they've also got some good physiques, and then again you can look at them and think, yeah, they're in my weight division. Yeah, super middleweight, light heavy, yeah, heavyweight, flyweight. Yeah, that's my weight, that's my body weight right there. So perhaps I could look something along them lines. Obviously if you're prepared to put in the hard work and the diet. So what we've got to realise is that one size doesn't fit all. There's lots of workouts out there. One of the most frustrating things I heard was when I went into a commercial gym, and I said to the guy who was working behind the counter, his name was Angelito Lester, he was well known back in the 80s, he was in like muscle and fitness magazines and Iron Man magazines, stuff like that, and he was a Mr. Universe competitor, and I said to him, I need a workout to do this, to do that and whatnot, and he said it's all trial and error. And I said, come on, be more specific, give me a workout. And he said it's trial and error, it's genetics, it's different genetics, different body types. Not one thing works for everybody. And that annoyed me, it frustrated me, because I'm the kind of person that wants straight instructions, simple instructions, A, B, C, follow that, get results. And then when it comes to the physique, when it comes to your body and exercise, it doesn't work like that. As we've seen in this video, where are your muscles inserting? Have you got long muscles? Have you got short muscles? Is it halfway up your leg? Is your calves halfway up your leg? Are they down at the bottom? There's not anything you can do about that. Your bone structure could be all over the shop. It could be an apparent genetic confusion of big bones here, little bones there, and then you sort of, oh my goodness, this is so odd. And then of course your genetics and runs through your family and muscle types. Okay, but I think I've pretty much covered this. If you've got any questions, leave questions in the comment section. Share this video with other people who need to know also. What I want you to take away from this video is some hope. Okay, I want you to sit down and think, right, look in the mirror, or just sit there and just look down at yourself and say, my legs are more like a runner's. My waist is more like a power lifter's, okay? And my arms are more like, you know, whatever one you are more like. And work within that range. And then of course there's exercises you can do, loads of videos on exercise. At the end of the day, if you lift, you're going to get muscle, your muscle is going to grow, they're going to get bigger, they're going to get stronger, okay? The more you exercise, obviously muscle definition will show, and all that thing I don't need to explain as well, because there's enough videos out there. But if anyone wants any advice on more of a tailor-made workout, then I can help with that. I can give advice on that. I've been a personal trainer for many years, a professional personal trainer, and so I know what I'm talking about. Okay, well, thanks for watching the video. Yeah, just subscribe to my channel, leave some comments, and if you like the video, a like's always nice. And yeah, just take this video and give it some deep thought. I reckon it really encourage you and give you a clearer view as to what you're doing. You may have to completely give up what you're doing with your workout routine and start from scratch, but that's not a problem. It's better to do something for 10 years and then realise it was a load of rubbish and then start afresh than continue doing a load of rubbish for 20 years and still getting the same rubbish results. Okay, right. Well, this is Jason Napalm, aka Big Chungus. God bless you, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.